Hello, and welcome to the Tavern Chat podcast. I'm your host, Eric Tenkar, your bartender in the OSR, your main proprietor at the Tenkar's Tavern blog. Today is Halloween. This is Halloween evening, which means that it's quite possible the doorbell will ring and the dog will go batshit fucking crazy because the doorbell rang, and I apologize for that in advance. I would have put this podcast up earlier, but running around doing those wonderful things you have to do during the day. So what are we going to talk about today? Well, first thing, Joe the lawyer left me a voicemail on my phone, not my Google number, not here, but on my phone. But he asked me something very interesting. And he wanted to know, how do you use Anchor? How do you use Anchor if you want to do a podcast? And I told him it was simple as shit. Okay. But I'm going to tell you all out there that really it is as simple as shit. Or rather, it can be as complicated and as time consuming as you have the time to do so and the willingness to do so and the skills to do so. Here's how I use it. Okay. Most of the time. There are times where I use other methods, but right now I am sitting at my desk with my desktop. I have the Anchor page opened up in my web browser. I go to the new episode tab, and then I click record, and there's a drop-down menu asking you what mic you're using, and I'm using my Sound Blaster headset. And lo and behold, here I am recording. Now, I had a foobar over the weekend where we're using a different headset. Well, I had been using a different headset, and it was somehow, whenever I use any other headset, it always defaults to the default microphone, built-in microphone, so I always remember to drop it down. And if I forget to drop it down, you'll get a shitty episode, but you'll get an episode. When I had the other wireless headset hooked up, the issue would be is that it would default to that, which was great when I was using a wireless headset, but I had issues with it dropping out in the middle of an episode, and it wasn't cool. So I switched back to this USB headset, and guess what happens? I start recording an episode using the right headset. 30 seconds into it, dog goes crazy because my son decides to come over and talk to the dog. I stop it, tell him what I'm doing. He leaves, dog calms down. I go back to record, and I forget that I have to go back in and do a new drop down. So, if you're going to fuck up an episode, that's probably the easiest way to do it is not to set up your proper recording microphone in that drop down menu when you hit record. Nah, that's how I do it. Now, and again, that's how I do it when I'm not up in the Poconos at my family's place or occasionally at conventions. Because when I'm at conventions, I use the Anchor app. The Anchor app allows you to use your phone to record the episode. I prefer recording through my desktop because it allows me to set up my episode by pulling the different audio parts to the right size, the drop down, just drag and drop, and arrange it. And, a minute later, my whole episode is there with my intro, music, maybe my intro piece, a voicemail or two, my closing, and the outro music. Well, it's a little not as easy, in my opinion, to do that from your phone or from the tablet. I'm sure if you do that on a daily basis or you do whatever, if you're recording 3 times a week and you're always using your phone, like Jason Hobbs does, it becomes second nature. You understand this idiosyncrasies depending on how you can do it. But that being said, the microphone built into your phone, the microphone built into your tablet is extremely good. It's a high quality microphone. You're going to sound good. I can almost guarantee that. Then you have the other side of it. You have people like Glenn Hallstrom / Old Man Grognard. He records the episode using, I think, Audacity. And then he goes in and he fixes the sound levels and he does whatever effects he needs to do. And then he imports that into Anchor. So Glenn treats this like, God forbid, a real podcast, that level of professionalism. Now, me, the only time when I'm importing audio is when I do interviews. So if I do an interview and I'm using the Discord server for the tavern and I've got a one-on-one interview going on, I bring in a bot that will record the episode. I record the interview. At the end of the interview, I download the audio. My issue with that is that the audio I download now is this multi-track, which doesn't easily upload to Anchor. I have to convert it using a website that I use to a more standard format with just a single file. And after I've done that, I have to trim it. Because if I'm doing an interview, I start the bot before the interview so I don't miss anything, and I end the bot after the interview so I don't miss anything. And now I have to go back and I got to trim the front, trim the back. If I was smart, I would put breaks in the middle of the interview so I could trim the episode up or trim the recording up into multiple episodes, but that's probably beyond my paltry skills. Now, with Anchor, you can do one-on-one interviews, or you can have two hosts on a podcast simply using your Anchor app, basically one person calling the other. I have not used that feature yet. I will get to that, I am sure. Colin / Spike Pit has expressed interest in us working on an episode together. Whether it's my podcast or his podcast, makes little difference. I mean, actually, I ideally, in my mind, this is going to go on a little bit beyond this, but on how to use Anchor. But ideally, in my mind, if we are going to do episodes with other podcasters, I think I would prefer, my opinion, is that the episode is not so much Colin guesting on 10 Cars Tavern with me as a guest, or me guesting on his Spike Pit. What I think the preferred way would be is that we go into it as collaborators and we both take the episode, the recording, and we both put it up on our podcast. So our listeners get to hear somebody else. My listeners get to hear Colin as an equal and go, holy shit, he's fucking cool, man. I want to listen to that English motherfucker. And then Colin's listeners go, oh shit, I haven't checked out the tavern. All right, Eric actually seems pretty interesting. Maybe I should. As opposed to simply guesting on somebody else. And I would like to see us do a roundtable. I would like to see 4 or 5 of us sitting at a virtual table like Tim Shorts suggested and just shoot the shit back and forth. My God, that would be fucking fun as hell. And again, the results should be shared on everybody's podcast as a special episode. And then they could get to hear all these different people. So in summary, I told you I was going to go off the ramp a little bit. or off the rails, or off rails from the ramp, something like that. Anchor, I'm using it on a daily basis. I stepped into it without any kind of knowledge of how to use it, and I figured it out. Now, one important thing if you are going to use Anchor, don't go into your library and delete old shit. Not if it's part of an episode. Because if you delete old shit, you delete it from Anchor. Now, it might not affect your episodes once they've gone out to iTunes and stuff like that, but it will mean that you'll have empty episodes. I thought I had to clear out space, and I was just retarded. For my early episodes in Anchor, I probably fucked up. That's me. That's my advice. I'm sticking with it. So, thank you, folks. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for listening. I'm losing my voice a little bit at the end. I apologize for that. Stay safe. God bless. Roll your dice well. It's Halloween, so hopefully all that candy the kids don't come to your house and steal from you. You can get sick on it later. Personally, if you're like me, it's stuff like Almond Joy and Twix. Yum. Of course, those are just my little idiosyncrasies. Week from today, I'll be arriving with Rach in Madison, Wisconsin for Game Hole. So if you're going to be out at Game Hole, look me up. I never turn down a beer. Well, I'm sure I will at some point if everybody's tossing them at me, but generally speaking, I don't turn them down. All right, folks. Thank you. And I'm out of here. Later.